So yeah, fuck Simon Cowell.
Yeah, no. Simon Cowell is he is actually, I believe, and this is canonically true, he's a pile of rats in a human suit.
I think you're right. That is canonically true.
Was it Skaven? Is that what it's called?
Skaven, yes, Skaven.
In the Warhammer verse?
Yeah. He's absolutely a worshiper of the horned god. No question.
Simon Cowell, worshiper of the horned god. You heard it here first, folks.
Yes, indeed.
You know what else you heard?
What?
Hey there, everybody. Welcome back to PixelLit, where we read, recap, and review novelizations based on video games. My name is Kevin. With me, as always, is Phil.
Hello.
How's it going, Phil?
It's good. It's good. Life is good.
Yeah.
We've wrapped up another Resident Evil book.
Book. Isn't that wild?
We are full circle, my friend. We are full circle.
Oh, there's T again.
There's the T. It's always...
It's always right as we start recording.
It's always... Yeah, we get started. She's like, oh, thank God he's gone. I need to settle down with some,
chamomile.
Sleepy time tea.
Some sleepy time tea,
Yeah.
Some lavender scents in the tea.
Some chamomile. Chamomile.
Chamomile. I don't actually believe that any of that stuff is in any of that tea, because it's like these flowery flavors that it's like, yeah, it's in there. There's a flavor in there. It's like when people put like rose in something and be like, you can really taste the rose. And be like, no, you can't.
They had, I think it's Woodford Reserve. We saw a commercial for them where they were like, discover over 200 flavor notes in Woodford Reserve, and I went off on a rant. I was like, fuck you, if that's even true, which it's not. But if it is even true, it's meaningless then. It's just chaos. There's that, like, you are the reason that people think wine aficionados are full of shit.
Right.
For those of you listening at home who don't know, I used to work professionally in the wine industry. Yep. And I love that shit, and it's stuff like that. Over 200 different aromas and notes
of flavors.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, like it's just, by the time you get to the 15th
Reserve.
One,
shove an orchestra in your mouth.
It tastes of rosin and caramel. There are 4-day-old coffee grounds, and also 5-day-old coffee grounds. Not 6, though, which is very interesting. It goes straight to 7. And ass. I believe that's ass that I'm tasting.
Have you ever
Hmm.
wondered what the rosin bag that a pitcher uses tastes like?
Oh, we've got Nolan Ryan's rosin bag from 1984.
It has been sitting in the vat with this wine. So if you order an 84, we believe Nolan Ryan had had a no-hitter that year. If you order an 84, you're gonna get some of that Nolan Ryan no-hitter taste. In your
the taste of triumph.
The taste of triumph in your mouth balls.
Oh yeah. And that's just number 76. It's just such...
Woodford Reserve just catching random strays in the beginning of this episode. Catching
I'd like
strays.
to formally announce that our sponsor from here on out is Uncle Nearest. So we're going to be skipping past the Woodford Reserve, going straight to the good shit. How are you, Kevin?
I'm great.
We're off to a good start.
I found my clippers. I was able to shave. I'm feeling good.
Good. Looking all trimmed and manicured.
Yeah. I'm feeling good. Feeling clean. Feeling streamlined.
Oh yeah, your aerodynamics.
I'm more aerodynamic now, and also when I shave the beard down, it gets rid of all the gray hair. So. You can't really see them anymore, so I feel like 2 years younger.
They blend into the white background.
Solid 17 months younger.
Right. Makes me feel like I'm 36 all over again.
36 and a half. I'm feeling My good sir, you look not a day over 36 and 8 months.
It's good. So that's what clean living does for you.
It's what clean living, clean living, clean eating. There is no way that in the past 24 hours that I had goldfish, the cracker, for an entire meal. I didn't have have not had a goldfish meal in 24 hours.
No, that would be silly. It would be irresponsible. It would not be the actions of an adult.
It would not be the actions of an adult. No. This is off topic, but I'm having trouble delineating when you're actually are you an adult? Because I have been just flying by the seat of my pants since I was 18.
Right.
There's no, when I was a kid, I thought there would be like a firm delineation between childhood is over. I must put away childish things. I am an adult human being now, and I just turned 38, and I don't know, 20 years have gone by since I've been legally an adult, and I don't feel that much different. Like up here, some things there's a lot of things I care about less. Is that it?
Sure. I think that's the key. I really do. I really think that's what it is. It's less about the things that you can do now or anything like that. It's more about the things that you leave behind.
Yes.
And it's not even childish things, although you could argue it, but I find that it becomes, we were talking earlier, how I've gotten older and I don't know in some ways if I'm maturing or dying inside. Just... I don't know if this is a good or a bad thing. I do know that a big turning point for me was when I was 23, 24, and I was teaching high school English, if you can believe that. That was when I
remember
first
those
moved.
days.
Yeah, well, that was right before we met, actually.
Yeah. I think you quit right before we met or something. Or no.
Yeah,
I think you were still working right before we met.
Right there at the beginning, I was still working. And then
I think you quit during that semester.
Yeah, during grad school. It was the end. It was my last year. The summer came and they paid me through the summer, and that was it.
Yeah.
And it was, but I think that was an important time for me because, you grow up in a more authoritarian household as I did, and you are basically led to believe adults have it under control, period. That's how this works. And it wasn't until I was 23 or 24 and I became a high school teacher and I started having meetings with other high school teachers, and it occurred to me that they were fucking idiots.
Yeah.
These people who could have been my high school teacher because they were twice my age. And I start looking back on because I was a very obedient kid for the most part.
Sure.
All the way through college. And I look back at those teachers that I had way back when, and I went, there was nothing that I was misunderstanding in their actions, because I was the definition of giving them the benefit of the doubt. It's like, well, they're adults, so I'm sure they know
what they're doing.
They're talking about. And then I became a teacher, and I very quickly realized, oh no, they're just fucking stupid. None of us knows. No one knows what we're doing.
Yeah.
Laws don't mean anything. Money is worthless.
It's all made up.
It's all made up. It's all made up.
It's like whose line is it anyway? The points don't matter.
The points don't matter. And I think that to me is that's way more important. That realization is way more important than like any arbitrary delineation of, am I an adult?
Yeah, no, that's the thing about it, is like adulthood is basically like your entire life, your entire childhood. It's like being at a rental store, and I'm already aging myself. You're at a video rental store, and the adult section, the adults only section is behind a curtain, right? Mm-hmm. So imagine your picture of adulthood is this curtain that says adults only, and you are living your entire life, and you see this adulthood is this curtain that's in front of you. It says adults only, and you're just thinking, wow, you once you get through that curtain, you must know your shit. You must know life, the meaning of it, all that stuff. Because your parents did, clearly, and your teachers did, obviously, right? And then one day they let you behind the curtain. And there is no difference.
No.
It's like, oh, it's just sadder children on the other side of this curtain.
Pretty much, yeah. You're so excited, and for a moment you're thrilled to be over there, and then you go, oh, this is the same, there's just more cum. That's pretty much that's being an adult. It's the same. There's just more cum. Which is great for a few years.
It's great for a few years. And then,
and that kind of evens out too.
You get used to it.
I hope we have younger viewers.
I really hope so too.
I hope we're filling their minds with all kinds of worldly wisdom today.
They look to us as mentors, and
yes,
and we will guide you. We don't know what we're doing.
We've got it figured out. All those other adults, fuck them.
We don't know what we're doing, but we have a lot of experience not knowing what we're doing.
Exactly. Yeah, we don't know what we're doing, but we'll look you in the face and tell you that we don't know what we're doing. Where else are you gonna get that?
Where else are you gonna get that kind of fatherly advice?
That kind of terrifying honesty.
It's refreshing, really. You should be thanking us.
It's true. It's true. Send us cash.
Send us cash. Non-traceable bills.
Please launder them.
Launder them,
and
please.
We'll launder them again.
Literally in the laundry. I don't know where it's been.
It's
a pandemic out there. God damn it.
The comfort of $100 bill that's been run through the rinse cycle is just chef's kiss. Beautiful.
So, yeah. That's why we make our cash out of cotton.
Oh, absolutely. It just feels so good. Fabric softener.
Yeah.
On your green dollar bills.
Little Downy bear wrapped up in
cash.
So, chapter 13.
Chapter 13. We're reading Resident Evil Caliban Cove, by the way.
We're finishing up Resident Evil Caliban Cove today. And we got a little sidetracked. But here it is. It's chapter 13, and we're sprinting to the end. And chapter 13, they're basically just cutting across campus, heading towards another building. And everybody is like, everybody's pretty much bummed out because Karen she's not doing too well.
She's not. Her days are numbered at this point.
Yeah. So they get into one building and they press a button because they solved one of the puzzles, and it spits out a key card, and it's the lighthouse access key card. And they're now like walking up a hill, and the hill kind of plays into a few things involving like Karen's health and all that stuff. But they're walking up a hill, and they're feeling bummed. It is mostly internal monologue at this point between different characters about how shitty like everything is. And then basically they I think at this point Rebecca tells Karen, she's like, listen, this isn't good. Like you're not doing so hot.
Yeah. She spends a long time like in her head going, should I be bringing up the fact that she's going to turn into a zombie in front of everybody, or would that be insensitive? And you just want to grab her, you're like, you maybe should do the thing where she knows that she is going to die. I think that would be the really considerate thing to do.
Right.
Jesus.
Sweet Jesus. And then they realize that there could be a trap, and they open a door, and it cuts to Karen's point of view, which I thought was a really interesting decision because of the way S.D. Perry writes it. It feels almost ethereal in the way she starts describing everybody as like, their faces are wrong. Everybody is pointy.
Yeah, it's a terrific section. Yeah, where she can't focus her eyes clearly. It's really dreamy and strange. She can't like make out people's faces, and she ends up saying things that make sense in a way. Like she talks to them and tells them, that it's getting worse and that it's getting really bad. But the level of effort it takes for her to do that, I don't think we've definitely never seen the T-virus or any of the various Resident Evil viruses portrayed so well.
No.
In the games or, in the books so far. This is only the second one, but this is just really, really, it's a step. It's basically right up there with the that first famous journal entry from the first
the Itchy
Resident
Tasty
one. The Itchy Tasty. Yeah. This is right up there with Itchy Tasty in terms of like an iconic level of point of view for somebody that's deteriorating like this. And I'm not it really is great writing. It's
one of my favorite lines is where she says her skin was itchy, but now it feels like it's itching itself.
Yeah.
And I was like, that is an interesting way. It is like one big mosquito bite, and it was itchy, and now it's itching itself.
Absolutely, like ants crawling all over her.
Yeah, yeah. So that's an interesting like way that it's portrayed. So she's fading fast, and in the meantime, everybody else had an encounter with one of the scientist zombies that is one of the scientist zombies that is working for Dr. Nick. And it's not super clear what exactly happened. We actually get another recap of what happened a little bit later because Karen is so ineffective at understanding what's going on around her.
Yeah, Karen's gone. Karen gone bye-bye.
And then, so we jump to the next chapter. And these chapters move pretty fast.
Yeah, this is where it gets really fast-paced. It clips along.
And it clips along pretty quick. We get to Dr. Nick, and he basically tells one of the other doctors, Kinnison, to grab a gun. And he's like, well, the gun's not loaded, but maybe you could trick them into thinking that it's loaded. And go down there and try to say the following things to them, and maybe we'll be able to trick them.
Yeah. He kind of programs them like a computer. Like it doesn't go to great detail, but it hints at the idea of like him giving him pre-prepared answers to questions that he expects that they will ask.
Right.
Yeah, it's fascinating. He treats him like an app, basically.
Right. Yeah.
Do you need a zombie servant? There's an app for that.
And we jump back to Rebecca, and Rebecca is basically trying to figure out why Karen is turning so fast. And her, the way she thinks that the walk uphill might have done something to amplify the virus spread because of the increased heart rate required to walk up the hill.
Yeah, like the blood's getting pushed through her that much faster.
Exactly. And so basically they're underneath the lighthouse now, and they're in this series of tunnels, and it would not be a Resident Evil without a weird maze-like section.
I thought that this was a really solid moment because, they usually Resident Evil starts out with kind of a more gothic, rural kind of feel to it, a more natural sort of environment, a village or a mansion. And then eventually you end up underground with lots of stainless steel and glass and halogenic bulbs and all that stuff.
Right.
Is that the right word? Jesus.
Halogen?
Just bathroom lighting.
Bathroom lighting.
Everyone looks like shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this is where we're at finally. We get to that point. It's pretty it was picking up on a pattern
And I think it seems like these tunnels they're not natural. I think the tunnels that they're walking through, it seems like they're walking through water. They say something like it's too smooth, and I think they determine that they are carved out by water, like erosion or something like that. So they get to this intersection of all these pathways, and they're supposed to be going southwest, but none of them line up directly southwest. And then the doctor Kinnison, who was sent after them, the zombie doctor, basically shows up and has it's great because he has like 5 responses that he can give. Right.
It is like playing a video game in a way where you reach the end of the dialogue tree, and no matter what you try, they're just going to repeat themselves. And that's exactly what happens.
So they keep talking to this guy, and he kind of like, he'll like repeat himself. And then I think David notices that when he like turns away, the doctor turns away, like all emotion falls off of his face. And then he's like, he's going to kill us. It's like a Skyrim NPC, basically.
Yeah.
He's going to kill us.
Rendering.
Or Oblivion. Let's not say Skyrim. Let's say Oblivion.
Oblivion. Yeah, sure. Yeah. And he just reaches the end of the things that he can say. And what is the last? Yeah, he keeps saying, oh, well, that's later. Yeah. It gets more threatening as we go on.
Right.
But yeah, it's wild. And they kind of, raise an eyebrow, but
they raise an eyebrow, but they also kind of believe him, like, hey, he's human.
Yeah, everything's kind of fucked up down here. Let's leave him be.
So they split up. One team is going to follow him back to the labs, and the other team is going to head in the direction that he said the boats were in. I believe is the way they split up. So Steve is going to take Karen with the doctor back to the lab to see if they can get an antidote. Everybody else is going to go find a boat. And so we cut to Steve and Karen and the doctor are basically, they're walking down this hallway, and the doctor's moving just a little too fast for them to keep up. And Steve is just, really annoyed until he comes around a corner and Kinnison has the gun on him. And he's threatening to shoot Steve. Steve doesn't know that there's no bullets in this gun.
Yeah, he's not aware of that.
He's not aware of this. But basically he Kinnison takes Karen and Steve hostage, and they walk back to the laboratory. And then we switch scenes, and it's Dr. Nick again. And he just a brief scene. It's him releasing the hunters.
Yes, we do finally get the impression that we're finally going to meet these nasty hunter boys.
MA7s, which so in the first Resident Evil, they're basically the second batch of baddies that is in the mansion. After you've been through the mansion a few times, you're like, all right, I understand the zombies, whatever. The hunters eventually break into the mansion, and they can kill you with one shot. They can slice your head right off with a good swing. So
that's what we've got coming our way.
So that's what they've got coming their way. And chapter 15. We've already blasted through 2 chapters so far.
It's cruising along.
It's cruising along here at the very end. Clearing my throat. I'm gonna leave all this in, by the way. I'm just gonna...
Good. This is what the people want, my friend.
This is what the people want, is when your throat
raw and uncut.
Your throat gets that stuff in it, and you take a sip of my Spindrift.
It's the T-virus. We're gonna try and get through this before Kevin gets all itchy tasty on us.
Before I get itchy tasty, let's finish this podcast.
1 year later.
1 year later. So they are walking down the tunnel. Rebecca, John, and David. They're going down the tunnel. Rebecca's trying to convince herself that everything is A-okay. Everything's fine.
Yeah. I feel like everybody in this group, from Rebecca to John to David, everyone has a different moment in this and the following, like this, around about this 30 pages, where each one of them takes a turn taking the POV and blaming themselves for all the bullshit that has happened.
It's
basically
all my fault. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
David does it the most, I think. The Brit. The British
Without
guy.
question.
Without question. Basically, what happens next is John, David, and Rebecca they start running and backing up, going the opposite way because the hunters are barreling down on them, and they kill one of them, but they're quickly joined. There's like a couple others on the way.
Yeah.
And David basically just says, "Fall back. We got to get out of here."
Yeah. They do what you really should do in most Resident Evil games, which is just fucking run. Just run.
Just run.
Save your bullets.
Save your bullets. It's survival horror. You got to run.
Yeah.
We jump scenes over to Dr. Nick. And Dr. Nick, this scene, vaguely racist.
Oh my God. Yeah. We get, I spent a long time, like looking at these a few pages in this section where I'm just like, we're just re-emphasizing one particular thing a little too much.
A little
just
too
a
hard.
Little too much.
A little too hard. Dr. Nick keeps calling, and this is in the book, he keeps calling Steve the Hispanic.
The Hispanic.
Which is
just it's a step up from a black.
Yeah,
you know?
it's a weird way to it's a weird like country club way to like 1960s country club way to talk about somebody.
Yeah. And it's not like he hasn't been given like all kinds of other characteristics. Like he's
handsome.
I mean, he's handsome.
He's
young. He's super young.
He's super young. No,
I like to think that I feel like Dr. Nick's probably my age, a little older. And if I were being accosted by a heavily armed 21-year-old, Latino or not, I think the thing I would focus on is, well, this 20-year-old has got a lot of guns. That's mostly what I would focus on.
Yeah.
The youth would strike me a little more than that.
Yeah. So this is also one of, I feel like if this scene was in a movie, it would be, this scene alone would give it an NC-17 rating.
Yeah, this scene gets intense. Yeah.
So what happens is the zombie doctor brings Steve and Karen into the room, and basically the other zombie doctor is ordered to hold Karen, and the Dr. Nick points out to Steve, like, Karen's already gone. She's gone.
Yep.
Like she's already gone, because Karen starts eating the face of the other doctor.
Yeah, who just kind of lets it happen and deals with it. Yeah.
And it's just such a grotesque scene, and he tells the other doctor who's getting his face eaten to smile while it's happening.
Yeah.
And Karen is just like crunching off his chin and his jaw and like ripping parts off, and Dr. Nick goes, like, at one point he says the smile falters, but that's probably because the muscles have weakened.
Right. It's wild, because we are most certainly in the home stretch. We are 20, 30 pages from the end of this book, and we have had this entire team skirting by, yes, but it's not like a slasher movie where we're slowly picking them off one by one throughout the book. We are at the final like 10th of the book, and we're about to hit a moment where you start to think to yourself, okay, well, maybe it's going to be like a kinder, gentler sort of Resident Evil novelization kind of thing, and we're going to see them make it through. No, we're going to start seeing people drop like flies at this point onward.
Yeah. So one of the zombie docs is getting his face eaten by Karen. And while Steve is distracted with watching that happen and disgusted, Dr. Nick injects Steve with the same version of the T virus that the scientists, the doctors have. And basically, we cut back to the other team fighting off the hunters, and they managed to get through it through some good tactics and just unloading a lot of their bullets.
Right. They take a few of them out. They run a lot. Like but they managed to get away. They managed to get away
and kill all of them. And then they start going back down the hallway that Steve and Karen went down, and they find Steve, and he delivers the news that Karen is dead.
Yes.
So it's just a bummer all around. Rebecca is sad, and
I will say, and this might be insensitive, but we do. In the following pages, for a little while, we get a lot of people bemoaning the fact that Karen is dead. I do not believe that it's a weird thing at all for them to be concerned that Karen is dead, but it goes to this is like this highly trained killer unit, and it starts to feel like this is their first mission.
Yeah.
It's like, and we've spent a lot of time talking about how Steve, for example, he's 21, but he's gone out and he's done this mission and that mission and seen people die and killed people and all that stuff. And basically they take Karen's death really hard, to a point that it actually felt far be it from me to tell a person how they should mourn or not, but I feel like, okay, well, yeah, someone on the team died. That's,
But focus up, or everybody else will die. So, let's
pick up the pace.
Pip, pip, cheerio, and all that.
Right.
So, the next scene feels like it's out of Reservoir Dogs, with how bang it is. So, they get escorted back to the lab by Steve, who then turns around and he doesn't double cross them, but he does what he was told to do by Dr. Nick, because Steve is not Steve anymore. He's just a zombie. But he's one of those special zombies that can follow orders. So
the turnaround time on that virus is insane.
Insane. It's absolutely insane. So they follow him into the lab. He turns around. He has his gun on him. John, who was the one that was he was flirty with Karen and all that, has his gun out and points his gun at one of the other doctors. And that doctor has his gun on John. And it's kind of like that scene at the end of Reservoir Dogs. So what ends up happening is John shoots the other doctor, and immediately Steve shoots John in the lower back, and John goes down, and it seems like John's dead. All intents and purposes, it seems like John's dead. And it's just like bang, 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 and then Dr. Nick tells Steve to push the other two into the airlock because he's going to flood it with water. And then once they're locked in the airlock, he has Steve shoot himself in the head.
Which he does
without question, because that's he's under the mind control or whatever of Dr. Nick.
Right. And I was saying to Kevin before we started the show that the way this is written, because Rebecca, obviously we've got a connection with Steve, we've got a romantic interest kind of thing, and it's a particularly brutal way to go. When you're mind controlled and someone tells you to kill yourself. It's a very Mr. Purple kind of thing. And it's pretty fucked up. And the way it's written is, for all of the gore and gruesome details that we've gotten up until this point, basically Rebecca is spared anything because her point of view is shielded from him shooting himself, which to me made me suspicious and like, oh, okay, he's something happened. We got around it somehow. Steve ain't dead. Steve is dead.
We're gonna save you any thought process here. He's very dead.
Yeah, he is very, very dead.
This afternoon's broadcast brought to you by Trader Joe's Morning O's. Morning O's. You'll always disappoint your father.
So the other thing that happens to be in the airlock with them is Karen's body. So Karen is dead.
Oh, yeah.
Karen's dead, by the way. They shot her in the head after she ate one of the other people.
Yeah.
So that's all tied off. But yes, Karen's dead body is in the airlock with them. I wonder if she has anything that could help them in this situation.
I don't know, Kevin. It would be very Deus Ex Machina to just introduce a random thing to save them.
No, introduced it in the first act.
Right, for it to achieve any level of grace in that, and I can't think of anything.
Anything? Well, let's just read on.
Let's find out.
So yeah, they're basically in this airlock, and Dr. Nick is flooding it.
Yes.
He's basically opening
James Bond style, by the way.
James Bond style. He wants to flood it and then have them eaten by the Leviathans or something like that.
They're a snack for the big fish.
It's very Goldfinger.
Very much so.
Has sharks with lasers
right.
on their head, Austin Powers style. So it's a little much for the end here. But basically, David is just like, he is just a sloppy, sad bastard at this moment. He can't do fucking anything. He is given up, and Rebecca is like, you piece of shit. Like, what is wrong with you? We got to figure something out. And he's like, I can't do anything. Karen, my team, it's my fault. And Rebecca's like,
right. And by the way, while all this is happening, Dr. Nick is giving them a classic villain speech of like, you don't understand, you short-sighted human beings. I'm offering the world peace, because his idea is if we make everybody a zombie, then it'll be a peaceful society because there will be no more war and all that shit. Because there will be, it's nature or something, I guess. It's the kind of plan that makes Thanos's seem well thought out.
Thought out and good and wholesome comparatively.
Yeah, wholesome's the big word for it.
So what happens next is Rebecca remembers. Basically, was it David says the word luck? And it all falls into place. The mug drops to the floor. Kaiser Sose stops walking with a limp. It all comes together. Basically, Rebecca remembers that Karen has a lucky fragmentation grenade on her, and
one of those,
as you do. And this was set up earlier in the book. It was set up earlier in the book. She has a grenade on her.
I think the moral of the story here, Kevin, is if you're going to have any item on you at any point that arbitrarily you assign some semblance of luck, please make sure that it will also explode or shoot things or otherwise cause some kind of chaos, just in case luck isn't real and it doesn't work out for you.
So we get the actual blast though from Dr. Nick's point of view, where he's watching them he's watching them argue with each other and then hug. And then watching them try to scramble out of the way for some reason. What are they doing? They're trapped.
Right.
And then the grenade blows and the door, the hatch The hatch blows open and hits him, and then he gets just like ice water just like covers him up, and and he's dead.
Yeah, the blast door just flattens him Wile E. Coyote style. And that is a wrap on Dr. Nick.
That's a wrap on Dr. Nick.
Bye, Dr. Nick.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, Dr. Nick. Rest in peace, King.
R.I.P. King. So they get up. They're up on. They wake up. They're basically up on the beach after swimming up through the cold water, and there's some people with guns. And who would you know it? It is the Stars team from the city of Philadelphia here to save the day. The Philly
Kevin's
Stars
brethren
team.
in arms.
The Philly Stars team. Captain Blake. He's here, and he is ready to kill some zombies.
They started by trying the my guys, the Pittsburgh Stars team, but they were all fucking hammered.
So basically Barry called in reinforcements. They found out just in the nick of time.
Just in the nick of time.
Nick, get it?
Good job, Barry.
Yeah, the Philadelphia Stars team with their, proper armament and weapons have basically cleaned everything up nice and quickly.
Because they're armed for something that isn't just a recon mission.
They're actually armed with guns.
Right. And we do get a pleasant surprise here in this moment. You think for a moment that Rebecca and David are the only ones that have survived this horrible ordeal.
But no, John is alive.
He's made it. He's just been shot in the kidneys. He's
just been shot, and she's not feeling great. But they patch him up, and he is A-OK. And
he
then
takes a minute to make a smart-ass remark.
And then you're looking up what he says?
He has like, it's the most 1980s action movie kind of like thing. He's about to pass out. I think they've injected him full of morphine, and he says, "You two look like something a coyote ate and shit off a cliff," he mumbled seriously. John was followed into the healing blackness by the sweet sound of laughter, which is, of course, the best medicine.
Laughter is the best medicine. The amount of laughter he generated with that comment healed his wound, actually.
Exactly.
Pushed the bullet out.
It's a good thing that Dr. Nick is so far down under the water, because if he had heard that joke, his body actually would have reinflated Judge Doom style.
Judge Doom style.
And he would have sought his revenge, and it would have been Caliban Cove 2 all over again.
Judge Doom terrified me as a child.
Oh my God. Yeah, well, that's because you were a human being and alive. We went to see that movie when I was a kid, and everyone has a story, I think, of being a kid and seeing a movie that unexpectedly scared the piss out of them, and they cried in front of everyone in the theater, and that one was the one for me. Yeah, Christopher Lloyd scared the piss out of me in that movie. He still does.
Yeah.
Who saw that coming, though? For God's sake.
And was it the coyotes or whatever? Or the foxes?
Oh, do you mean the hyenas?
The hyenas, yeah.
No, it wasn't hyenas. They were jackals.
Jackals?
Yeah, because their hyena cousins were the ones that laughed themselves to death originally.
Got it.
Weasels, not jackals.
God damn it.
Weasels. They were weasels. God damn it, they were weasels. Yeah, and they all laughed themselves to death. Well, most of them laughed themselves to death.
Yeah, exactly.
God, that movie's good.
I gotta go rewatch that movie.
Who Framed Roger Rabbit is a good movie.
It's
like an actual legitimately good noir film.
I respond to the shave and a haircut knock a lot like Roger does. Like
you have no choice but to respond.
If somebody is just doing shave and a haircut, just knocking shave and a haircut, I have 2 bits. 2 bits. So quick side story is we got our roof done a couple months ago, and one of the roofers was with a nail gun on the roof was going psh, 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 psh,
no kidding,
all day, and it was driving me insane. And I was like, you have to finish the pattern.
Oh my god! I think the closest I've ever had to that when Emily and I first started dating and COVID had hit and there was nothing to do but sit. We were both working from home there, and we were just watching season after season after season of Drag Race because it had all been released on Hulu at that point for the first time.
Right.
And so we're just watching Drag Race, and there's a part before every lip sync for your life challenge at the end of the episode where RuPaul will say the time has come and pause, and I would always go, the walrus said at the end of it, and I couldn't stop after a while. The time has come, the walrus said. And I feel like I think in the early budding moments of our relationship, Emily nearly dumped me at least once a day
while watching RuPaul's Drag Race.
I couldn't stop.
Yeah. So mostly happy ending. The only 2 people who died were Steve and Karen.
Right.
And basically the Philly Stars team brought depth charges with them to blow up the tanks of T-virus stuff that Nick had hidden that he was planning on releasing. So a nice tidy cleanup. Unlike the Spencer
they take
Mansion,
care of it in a hurry.
They put a bow on that one.
Oh, dude.
We get an epilogue.
We do get a little epilogue, a very interesting epilogue, I think.
Yeah, it seems like these high ups at Umbrella are basically, they're concerned about the number of shit that has gone down recently because the more things go down, the harder it is to cover things up.
Yes, it does tend to work that way.
Is basically they're like, yeah, but this is kind of annoying, isn't it? Is basically the vibe of, it's a 2-page epilogue, and everybody is just identified by their one character trait that gets mentioned. Like, there's a guy with a mustache. There's a guy that wears blue.
And he's called Mustache.
And he's called Mustache. And Blue wears blue. And T is drinking tea.
Right.
And then we find out Mr. Trent is basically, it seems like he's a fixer for Umbrella.
Yes.
That's his day job, is as a fixer. He's the what was that George Clooney movie? Michael Clayton. He's the Michael Clayton.
Oh, yeah.
He's Umbrella's Michael Clayton, but at the same time, he's playing both sides. Like, he's still doing his day job with Umbrella, being a fixer or cleaner, but he's also trying to hide the fact that he is leaking information out there so that people can find what's going on.
Right.
So
yeah, and he does it through riddles. So yeah.
Because and that's the end of Resident Evil Volume 2 Caliban Cove.
Done. In the books.
So what do we think?
This might be one of my favorite books we've read on this show so far.
Yeah. It actually almost could have stood to be like 50 pages longer. Maybe
I would have loved for it to have been a little longer.
Just a little bit longer, because it feels like we go, like the end is at a breakneck speed. But everything is really tight. Like, everything is set up and pays off at the end. I don't think they never end up getting the information that they're there for.
No, they just get in trouble and need to get out of trouble. That's basically the extent of it.
But they save the world as a byproduct of that. So that's
we don't even get a single person killed by a zombie.
No, we actually
it's all the ruinous man.
It's all man. It's all man. It's I've been it's all Andrew Ryan would have had a field day with this place.
Oh God, yes, absolutely.
But I was just watching Monty Zander's video on Bioshock, and I just have Andrew Ryan's voice in my head all the time, and it's anytime we're talking about man, is a zombie not owed the the sweat of his brow,
drool on his chin,
the drool on his chin, the slack of his jaw.
Well,
no,
I mean, that is
says the man at Umbrella.
Right. Well, it is something that all of these kinds of, we do keep running into stories about psychopathic corporations.
Yep.
That operate outside of the law in bizarre, clandestine, dark rooms with swirling cigarette smoke, and they try to ruin everything.
The cigarette smoking man, basically.
It's true.
Yeah.
They always ruin everything. And I think it's just because we believe that. We believe it. That sounds about right. Sure.
It's just about right. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's up there for me. I think it was definitely I would say in the upper quartile. I have to revisit my thoughts on a few other books just to remember. But it's definitely up there.
I preferred this to The Umbrella Conspiracy.
Me too. It's a lot tighter and makes a lot more sense than The Umbrella Conspiracy.
yeah. And it just proves, it's another piece of evidence that for the most part, when we let these authors play in the world, we get something that's just generally a better quality.
Yeah.
Than holding to a pre-existing game too tight.
Yes.
We've had exceptions to that, one in particular, but for the most part, that rule has proven pretty true.
Yeah. Halo the Flood was pretty good.
Absolutely.
In terms of recreating the first Halo game. But yeah, otherwise,
Rapture was good.
Yes, Bioshock Rapture was very good in terms of, and everything in Bioshock Rapture is pretty much it's in Bioshock 1 and 2 through the audio logs.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's hit or miss, but it definitely seems to be more of a rule of thumb at this point. A year into it, I think we can say that the PixelLit rule of thumb is that when an author is allowed to play in the universe rather than be strictly beholden to the universe, the quality tends to go up.
Absolutely. Yeah, totally agree.
Yeah, I mean, your mileage may vary beyond that, but because I know...
But generally speaking,
yeah. And we'll find out. I mean, we're going to read more Halo books while we do this podcast. And more Halo originals and things like that. So I'm sure we'll find more. And honestly, it's not even necessarily always true. Dead Space was not based on the game. I mean, it's based on information from the game, but it's not. That was
a pretty heavy exception to that rule.
That was a big old outlier. So
big time.
All right. Now, for our new segment, what are you playing?
Ooh, I like this new segment. It gives me something to. I have to. It's like when you're closer to 40 than you are to 30. It starts getting to a point where if you have spent any time in the games industry, there's a part of me that feels guilty if I'm just enjoying something in and of itself. It's like, how do I make work out of this? Yeah. And that's very sad.
It is.
But it is what it is. So I've appreciated these opportunities.
Right.
I played 2 games this past week or so, both based on pre-existing franchises. One that I am really not all that familiar with, and the other that I am super familiar with. And the first one was Dune Spice Wars.
Oh, yeah, that's their real-time strategy 4X game, right?
Yeah. It's very interesting. It's still in early access right now. It's very interesting, and I am a Civilization fanatic. So this sort of thing, I'm not really huge into Dune. I really ought to watch. I watched the first movie like 1,000 years ago. I don't remember much about it, and I still haven't seen the new one. I really should.
You should.
Yeah, but it's basically the idea is you are part of a civilization on this planet where you're trying to mine spice and, take over the place through various means of, walk without rhythm, and you won't attract the worm. And all that other good stuff. And it's if you've played Civilization, if you've played any of those kinds of games, you know what you're getting into. Yeah, exactly. You know what you're getting into here. And what's funny is that it plays like Civilization, which I love, but like those sorts of 4Xs, there is still a steep learning curve for playing it effectively. And when you play as much Civilization as I do, and that takes up so much time to play a single game of that, hours and hours and hours to play a single game, I have, you have to ask yourself at a certain point, it's like, do I want to learn?
Do I have the time?
Right. It's like, if you're looking for a new 4X that you want to invest some time into and that kind of thing, and you like Dune, I can't help but recommend it. It's pretty, right now it feels, it's not as complicated as many 4Xs I played,
right.
Let's just say.
Yeah.
So it would be easy right now for you to barrel yourself into it and try it out. It's interesting. It's got a unique feel to it.
Yeah.
So it's worth a look. And the other game I played is Warhammer 40,000 Daka Squadron.
Oh, hey. Warhammer.
This is the first 40K game I've ever played from the Orcs' point of view.
Oh.
That's exclusively from the Orcs' point of view. It's a plane game. It's a dogfighting game.
Oh, can you paint the plane paint it red and make it go faster?
You can make it go faster. When she paints it red, it makes it go faster. It's I was hoping we were going to get... did you ever play Crimson Skies on the original Xbox?
No.
It's kind of a alternate future, not quite steampunk, but a little steampunk plane game where it's like it's early turn of the century era, but it's still futuristic in a weird way. Sure. It's kind of hard to describe, but it was a lot of fun. It was a real sleeper hit. Like, anybody I know who's played Crimson Skies generally has nothing but good things to say about it. It was a very satisfying feeling game. It was a lot of fun to play. It was very silly, had kind of an Indiana Jones vibe to it. It was super fun.
Cool.
And the way that it was looking, it looked like we were going to get that, especially because with the orcs can be very serious, but unlike many of the other armies in 40K, they're one of the only ones that can and will be written as really funny and stupid. One of the canon things with orcs in Warhammer is that their technology, their ships, all that stuff, it shouldn't work. It absolutely shouldn't work. They have no idea what they're doing. It basically only works because they believe that it will work. So, and that's hilarious in a game system and a story system that is like, bleak Vatican nuns with guns, super god. It's so dark and it's grimdark. It's intensely grimdark, but you've got this weird group of orcs that, are very silly and stupid at times.
Just flying on the power of love, basically.
It's exactly what it is. And so I was hoping we were going to get a game that combined those two things. And it is silly. It is funny. It's not quite Crimson Skies.
Oh, okay.
In fact, it gets very samey after a while. Like if you've played like the first 4 stages, you've played them all.
Got it.
One of those. It's not. I wouldn't recommend it if you've really got a big itch for 40K or dogfighting games, and frankly, like I said, it's the first orc exclusive POV game I've ever played in that franchise, and that I think makes it worth a look, just based on that. But probably I wouldn't recommend paying full price for it.
Yeah.
So what about you, Kevin? What have you played?
So I've been playing a few things. So the one I've spent the most time on was 20 Minutes Till Dawn. which is in the growing genre. There's been a few new names for this genre that Vampire Survivors definitely didn't start it, but it's kind of popularized it. Somebody said they saw someone refer to it as a enemy hell walk 'em up.
I like that. That's good. That's real good.
Yeah. And then somebody also said it's an enemy horde game. But yeah, so 20 Minutes Till Dawn is a more active than Vampire Survivors because it is it's more traditional twin stick where your WASD keys are, you walk in your direction, but your mouse, you actually fire your gun by clicking your mouse, and you choose the direction that you're firing in. So more traditional in terms of a twin stick, but it plays out in a very similar way where there's just a chaotic horde of monsters. There's upgrades. There's these things called synergies where if you have this power up and this power up, it might grant you this third power up.
Kind of like an evolution.
Like an evolution, yeah, a little bit in Vampire Survivors.
Nice.
It's got a neat art style, but and it's very addictive gameplay. It's not without its drawbacks, though. There's only one environment that you play in. It's kind of like this dark wooded area. Okay. And you only ever see the same enemies over and over again. So there's
just no variety in that sense.
There's not a lot of variety in the game. There's 7 characters. Each of them has their own thing. There's one character who is allowed to re-roll her choices when she gets a level up. Another has really high hit points. Another one is shoots lightning every second. There's all these things where it's on hit versus on shot mechanics. So when something triggers on the shot, that means it's actually the gun firing, and then there's triggers for on hit. So it's you have all these upgrades, and some of them are on the shot and some of them are on hit. So one woman has every second shot, regardless of whether it's a hit, a lightning bolt comes down and hits the enemy. Stuff like that. So it's got a ton of promise, but there's a bunch of issues with visibility in the game. It's a very monochromatic game. It has the art style is neat, but it makes it really hard sometimes to see the enemies when things get really chaotic. Now, fan of the show, Harry from Video Games Are Bad, actually has been putting together mods for the game already to help with that. Oh, wow, okay. Yeah, so he's been modding the game to kind of help the visibility a little bit. But that's not Vampire Survivors. 20 Minutes Till Dawn. I made a review of it. It's up on our Steam curator page for PixelLit. So I personally reviewed it, and then I basically used that review as a template for our PixelLit review, and gave it a recommended, because it's still it's $3. Yeah. But despite all those reservations, it's I got 10 hours out of a $3 game. So what the fuck?
I'm seeing that it's $2.99, just like Vampire Survivors. What do you have to lose if you? I don't know, man. I think if you got 2 or 3 hours out of a 3-hour game, I'd say you more than got your money's worth.
The only reason I have so much critique is because I see equal amounts of promise. If I didn't see any promise in it, I wouldn't even bother critiquing it, or I wouldn't even put that much time into it. But I see the promise, and that's why I have the criticisms.
Is it it's early access?
It's early access, so a lot of this might be, if you're listening to this into the future, a lot of this might have been fixed.
Sure. Might be smoothed out.
Even by the time this episode airs, it might have been smoothed out. The other thing I've been playing this week, started playing, is Card Shark.
How do you like that?
That
looks so much fun.
It is such a neat little game. So Card Shark is developed by Nereal. Nereal is the developer behind Reigns, which a few years ago, Reigns was a huge deal. Basically, Reigns was a card game where you received a card. A card was drawn from a deck, and it was usually you were playing the role of a king. The card presented a situation or a question, and you could solve it one of two ways. You could swipe left or swipe right. And it also had a lot of neat hidden elements to the game. The Card Shark is cool because it's not about playing cards. It's about cheating at cards. That is the game.
Right.
Is learning how to cheat at cards. So you are learning all of these mini games, and they kind of stack together in how to play, how to cheat, and how to help your partner in the game cheat at cards. So like the guy that you partner with, the Comte, Comte, or I think that's the French word for count.
Comte, I think.
Yeah, I think it's French for count, or something like that. So there will be one moment where you're both playing in the game, and he's dealing the cards, and he is dealing in a way where you can see what he's dealing to the other person. And then what you learn is how to hold your hand, how your character needs to hold his hand. So it's like it's something like if three fingers are up, the suit that he has the most of is the suit that he has the most of is hearts or spades. It's like two fingers spades, one finger it's like clubs, and no fingers up it's diamonds or something like that. And then there's it also teaches you like to communicate through how you put your cards down. So if you throw your cards forward, the guy's high card is a jack. If you lay your cards down, it's a queen. If you like drop them from a distance, it's a king. It's really fascinating. All these little mechanics that are thought up and put into play.
It's truly not about playing cards.
No, it's literally about magic tricks and cheating at cards. Like
that is fantastic.
It teaches you like the term in jogging, which is like if you're trying to like makes like, oh, give me like what's your card? All right, put it back on the top of the deck, and it's like this is how you mark within the deck where the card that they put back on the top of the deck is while you shuffle it. And it's such a cool game. I really like it so far. I've only put in like an hour because it is actually like mentally exhausting to play, because it's one of those things with a lot of, there's so many mini games that you play and there's little rules that you have to remember for them. It's like it's not like 20 Minutes Till Dawn or Vampire Survivors where I can mostly turn my brain off and play it. Card Shark is like the ultimate focus game.
Right. It sounds it. Holy
and there's
shit.
a difficulty of Card Shark that has permadeath.
Oh, okay, great.
Which there's a little meter where if you mess up, like it's like a suspicion meter, and if the suspicion meter fills up, then I only assume it hasn't happened to me yet. I only assume you'll get shot at some point.
I mean, that is how Card Shark in real life is played too. So yeah, it makes sense. That's great. I was looking at that earlier. I think I'm sold. I really need to pick that one up.
Yes.
That looks like it. Yeah. It's fascinating.
It's
such a good studio.
Oh yeah, really neat stuff. But yeah, that's what I'm playing this week.
Sweet. And everyone who's listening, you should check out our Steam group, PixelLit Pod. We are going to be curating all the games we cover in here and you can get some discussions going. We'll talk about the books we're reading and upcoming books, and check us out.
Check us out. All that fun stuff. Otherwise, check us out on Twitter at PixelLit Pod, or on Instagram at Instagram at PixelLit Pod. We have new stuff up there just about every day for you to lay your eyeballs on. And if you can, give us a 5-star review on Apple and Spotify. They both allow reviews, and 5 stars would really help us out. But what would really help us out is telling your friends about us. Podcasts really only spread through word of mouth. So if you can, do us a favor and spread the word about PixelLit. Anyway, that'll do it for tonight's episode. Thank you so much for listening, and have a good evening.
Bye.